Here are the 5 political stories that to wrap up the week. Pennsylvania politics tops the list. The governor's race, big news coming out of that state senator Jake Corman. He dropped out of the race to back former Congressman Lou Barletta. They think that that alliance may help them take on a surging Senator Doug Mastriano, who's kind of taken a lead with the high 20s and broken away from the pack. We'll see that. My prediction, Donald Trump endorses Barletta and tries to slingshot him to the front like he did with J.D. Vance. Keep an eye on that race. Also in Pennsylvania, that Senate race is heating up. Dr. Oz, Kathy Burnett, and Dave McCormick all in the front of that pack. Big interesting news coming out about Kathy Barnett questioning her education, her military service, her previous tweets. She's surging. Is there enough time to stop her? We'll see. Heading into the last 96 hours of this race, it'll be really interesting to see whether or not there's enough time to stop the rise of Kathy Barnett. You can tell Republicans in Washington are getting very interesting. Number 2 on the list, incoming White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre. Old tweets of her have surfaced from both 2016, the election then, the federal election, and the 2018 election in Georgia with Brian Kemp. She's calling both of those stolen elections. Interestingly enough, she gaggled aboard Air Force One for the first time this week since being named. Not a single question about those old tweets. Press Secretary Jen Psaki had previously introduced her as her partner in truth. Really interesting about that. Protests at the justices' homes continue this week. Story number 3. Interestingly enough, in an exit interview, Jen Psaki, the White House press secretary, talks about how she had been threatened, her family had been threatened. That's never acceptable. We've always said that. Interestingly enough, the White House has been very slow to condemn the same threats against members of the Supreme Court who have people standing outside of their home, despite it being against 18 U.S. Code, Section 1507, and Virginia Code for the 3 justices that live there. Those continue throughout the week. Lots to keep an eye on there. Number 4, you might remember this story from a few months ago. The Washington Free Beacon broke a story about COVID funding being used for crack pipes. The White House denied it. Jen Psaki, she denied it. Take a listen.
Reporting in this pushback is
they were never part of the kit. It was inaccurate reporting, and we wanted to put out information to make that clear.
Also, every fact checker said it was not a true story. PolitiFact took great pride in saying that I was spreading disinformation, calling it mostly false. Well, the Free Beacon followed up with several of these health centers, and guess what? Here's a crack pipe. That's right. They are at these, what they call harm reduction centers. We'll find out May 15th when the Biden administration has to release a list of who got the funding, whether or not these places that the Free Beacon got, these crack pipes, are on that funding list. The White House right now not saying anything. And finally, wrapping up the week, the baby food shortage continues. The White House trying to claim that they're making progress on this. Nothing could be further from the truth. They say they've been working on it for months. We have a massive supply chain issue, number 1. Number 2, their big thing coming out this week was about whether or not price gouging is happening. Well, if you go to most supermarkets, you can't even get it. So I'm not really sure how price gouging is in effect. You can't get it on Amazon. You can't get it at Target. You can't get it at most supermarkets. So I'm not really sure how that's going to affect it. Only 2% of baby formula actually comes in from abroad. So talking about importing more doesn't seem like that's going to be a big thing. The White House's response, call your doctor. Those are the 5 stories driving this week. Tune in every night to Spicer & Company to get your political fix.